All right, a bit more into what we have going on here on the LA Sports Roundup Podcast, and we're going to be talking, of course, about our LA Lakers and a huge story coming out of ESPN today actually, from Baxter Holmes of ESPN, talking about how the Buss family infighting drove the $10 billion sale of the Lakers. All right, so I'm gonna read you some of the article here. We're gonna summarize it, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of my thoughts on what Baxter Holmes says on what's going on with the Buss family drama and what led to the sale of the LA Lakers. Jesse Buss was at his Los Angeles area home when his phone buzzed with a text message from Joe McCormick, the Los Angeles Lakers senior vice president of finance and chief financial officer. It was 8:45 a.m. Pacific time on November 20th. Good morning, Jesse. I need to talk with you today about several organizational changes that will affect you. Please let me know when you have the time. Thank you, Joe. Jesse, a Lakers co-owner and the team's assistant general manager, quickly texted back 1 minute later. His brother Joey, a fellow co-owner, called. Joey, the team's vice president of research and development, had received a similar message from McCormick, followed by a call. McCormick told Joey that he was being fired immediately, and so was his brother. So we already know all this that would happen in November. Basically the Lakers let go of the Buss brothers, Jesse and Joey, after the sale to now Lakers owner Mark Walter. Walter being the owner and the lead chair of the group that owns the Los Angeles Dodgers. Gone too were brothers Jim and Johnny, who held Lakers administrative roles, and sister Janie, who was 62 and near retirement. I didn't even know that they had a sister named Janie. I don't think a lot of people knew that they had a sister named Janie that was working for the Lakers at the time. The Lakers were 15 games into the season and were playing well with an 11-4 record. The team sale to Mark Walter at $10 billion evaluation had closed nearly 3 weeks prior in late October. While leadership changes are often given any such transaction, this timing seemed off. Why now? What had they done? Janie pleaded not to be fired. Please, let me resign. She was out, but would be paid through the end of the calendar year. Okay, well, it's a little odd that would happen. I would agree, but I guess with the new ownership coming in, they felt like things just needed to get done at this time. And you know what? That's okay, because you know what? Mark Walter has all the power to do that now. But I digress. I'll read on. She told ESPN she felt disappointed and disrespected, like a crumpled up piece of paper thrown into the trash. The only Buss still part of the team was Jeannie, driver of the sale to Walter and the team's governor since Jerry Buss died in 2013. She fired everyone, a team official told ESPN. Jim, Joey, Jesse Buss declined to comment on this story. Their sale marked the official end of a tumultuous decade for the Busses, an unceremonious ending for the family whose father had built the Lakers into the most popular, valuable family-owned sports enterprise in the world. Jerry Buss's dream was to leave what he had created to his 6 children, generational wealth, and of course, but also a business empire that would tie familial bonds together forever. It didn't happen. Instead, the dream began to fall apart soon after the family patriarch died more than a decade ago. All right, I'll stop right there. That's very true. Dr. Jerry Buss left the Lakers team, the ownership of the team, to his 6 children, and it did not go well. Obviously, in 2017, there was a huge parting of ways of the then president of basketball operations, Jim Buss, and his sister, Jeannie Buss, who controlled the more financial side of the Lakers and the business side of the Lakers. But Dr. Jerry Buss, he left it to the Buss children, but he had Jeannie Buss as the controlling governor of the team, which meant she got to make all the decisions. And in 2017, after years of speculation, she ended up firing her brother for the team's lack of success. The Lakers did not make the playoffs for about 6 or 7 years in a row, starting from 2014 all the way to 2019. We did not make the playoffs for about 6 seasons, in which That is unheard of when it comes to the Los Angeles Lakers. The Los Angeles Lakers are the most historic basketball franchise in NBA history, and at the time, they were tied with the Boston Celtics. No, I think they were one below the Boston Celtics, but again, they had 16 NBA championships. They had almost the most wins in NBA history, and yeah, one of the best sports franchises in the world. And for us not to make the postseason, the playoffs for 6 years, of course there was going to be change. And that ultimately led to the firing of Jeannie's brother, Jim Buss, at that position. I'm going to skim down a little bit just because you guys already know most of the information that's kind of in this article. All right. Pelinka, talking about Rob Pelinka, had been part of Jeannie's inner circle, which had included former Laker Kurt Rambis and his wife Linda, but that inner circle did not always include her siblings. She had viewed her friends as family and her family as foes for the longest time, said one person close to the family. The Lakers didn't respond to multiple interview requests for Jeannie, but in times of tumult, Jeannie often brought in her youngest brothers. In the wake of the coup attempt by her elder brothers, this is referring back to 2017 when the elder brothers tried to put a stop to Jeannie becoming the sole governor of the Lakers after she had unceremoniously fired them. She included Joey and Jesse months later in the head coaching search to replace Luke Walton, with whom the team had parted ways with in April 2019. Then, nearly 3 months later, the team sources and others close to the family say the post-Jerry Buss era faced an unexpected and critical turning point. On July 13th, 2019, the Lakers held a news conference at the team's practice facility to introduce superstar big man Anthony Davis. The trade with the New Orleans Pelicans to pair with Davis and LeBron James instantly vaulted the Lakers back into title contention after the team had struggled for nearly a decade under Jeannie's stewardship. At the news conference, Joey and Jesse sat up front as Pelinka took the microphone and welcomed reporters. He first thanked Jeannie, who he called the strongest and most wise leader I've ever been around in my life. He thanked Linda Rambis, Jeannie's longtime confidant and the Lakers' executive director of special projects. He thanked Kurt Rambis, a senior basketball advisor for the Lakers. He thanked Tim Harris, the team's president of business operations. He thanked Davis's agents at Clutch Sports, the Pelicans management, and the players the Lakers had to trade away. Pelinka also mentioned Johnny, an older Buss sibling. I had lunch about 3 months ago with Johnny Buss, and it was a special moment, Pelinka told the assembled media. He had called me out of the blue to get together and just shared a whole bunch of things about the pillars of the Buss family and what the Lakers franchise stands for. And that was a key moment for me getting into today as well, so I wanted to thank him. The reference struck Jesse and Joey as odd. People familiar with the events say, given the coup that Johnny had attempted with Jim just 2 years prior. Jesse called Jeannie later that day, and he asked about Pelinka's remark about Johnny. The conversation took a dark turn, multiple people told ESPN, when Jeannie began to tell a story about her mother, Joanne. By then, Joanne, the mother of Jeannie, Jim, Johnny, and their other sister, Janie, who was ill in the final months of her life, Jeannie had been spending more time with her at the hospital. So, talking about Joanne being in the hospital. She told Jesse the two had frequently been talking about new revelation that had recently rocked the Buss family. 6 months earlier, in December of 2018, the 6 siblings had learned about a woman named Lee Close, who had written to Jeannie and said that she had been the first child of Joanne and Jerry Buss. Lee was born in 1953, and at the time, Joanne and Jerry Buss lacked the financial resources to support her, so they made a difficult decision to place her up for adoption. But Joanne made Buss promise her that he'd never have children with anyone else. He agreed. The couple would later divorce in 1972. Janie learned about that promise many years ago from her mother Joanne, who said she was heartbroken when she found out Buss later had 2 sons with his girlfriend Karen DeMel in the mid-1980s. But Janie said that Joanne ultimately supported Buss and those 2 sons, who were named Joey and Jesse. It was not clear when Jeannie learned about the promise between Joanne and her father, but when she spoke over the phone with Jesse in that 2019 call, and what multiple sources with knowledge of it said marked a sharp pivot of the topic of the conversation of Davis. I can only imagine they're talking about Anthony Davis, and then Jeannie Buss going, "He should never have been born," which... I'll get into it. She brought it up. Given the promise between her mother and her father, Jeannie told Jesse, "You should have never been born." Oof. Jesse processed those words, according to the three people briefed on the call. And again, "You should have never been born." Those were the words that are stated here. That's crazy. Crazy words right there. Skimming down a little bit more, someone close to the family said that was the beginning of the end in terms of the remarks that Jeannie made towards her brother in regards of her father and her mother not knowing about the kids until later on. But yeah, in the years since, multiple team sources say that they sense Jeannie's priorities beginning to shift. The organization took significant criticism over how it was being run, and she often took it personally, those close to her said. When external critics called the organization cheap, they were calling her cheap. When critics questioned why she listened to Linda and Kurt Rambis, they were questioning her judgment. When Pelinka came under public fire for the team's roster construction, she took barbs for standing by him. She was quick to label critics as wrong, cruel, and biased. She tightened her circle. She grew multiple suspicious of leaks. She crafted her public image and narrative through favorable media coverage. She's PR savvy, and she utilizes it, a team member said. She prioritizes that. She also became known in some circles for turning against those who were close to her and dear to the franchise. She had done so to Jerry West. She had done so to her brother Jim. And sources told ESPN she even began to turn against Lakers star LeBron James. Now, we can get into this a little bit, but I'll continue to read. Jeannie privately grumbled people close to the team, saying about what she felt James' outside ego and overt control that he and Clutch Sport, which represented both James and Anthony Davis, exerted over the organization at times. Now, it's no question that James and the Clutch organization exerted a lot of pressure and I would just say, for lack of a better term, dominance over the Lakers in terms of their decision making. It was very, very clear. In 2021, when the Lakers were coming off the NBA championship in 2020, they had lost to the Phoenix Suns in the first round of the NBA playoffs that year, and the only reason why they lost was because Anthony Davis got injured, and LeBron James was coming off an injury too. They should have kept that team as near perfectly constructed as possible. You know, they let Alex Caruso walk in free agency, which was one of the worst mistakes that they've ever done. And they should have never traded for Russell Westbrook. That was a colossal disaster of a trade, giving up a lot of assets for a guy that clearly did not fit in with the team whatsoever, and he was a cancer on the team. It really was. And LeBron James, he didn't take any responsibility for that trade. It all fell on the lap and the hands of Rob Pelinka. Pelinka took all the heat for that trade. He really did. Obviously, Westbrook took a lot of heat for that as well, not living up to, I guess, the expectations that Lakers fans and the media all created in terms of him being a Laker. But Pelinka took heat. Frank Vogel took heat. Vogel was fired after that. They fired Frank Vogel for them making the trade for Russell Westbrook. Why did they fire Frank Vogel? Because, you know what? Somebody has to be a scapegoat, right? If it wasn't going to be LeBron James and Pelinka's not going to fire himself, somebody has to take responsibility for it. So they ended up firing head coach Frank Vogel after just winning the NBA championship 2 seasons prior. Insane. And yeah, LeBron James did not take any responsibility for the blame of the Westbrook trade. But I'm going to continue to read here. In 2022, in the aftermath of the Westbrook trade, multiple people said Jeannie privately mused about not giving James a contract extension, and later that year, even about trading James with the LA Clippers floated as a possibility. This was before James received a no-trade clause in July 2024 after signing a new 2-year contract extension worth $104 million. And when the Lakers drafted LeBron James' son, Bronny James, in the 2024 NBA draft with the 55th pick, Jeannie privately remarked that James should have been grateful for such a gesture, but she felt that he wasn't. People close to the team. That summer, she had discussed a new contract for James. Jeannie seemed more resigned to the fact that they'd have to do it, almost begrudgingly accepting that they'd have to take a massive PR hit by not doing so. Under Jeannie's leadership, the team had been through years of dysfunction, of distrust, increasing isolation, and discord. And then there was the on-court product. The Lakers had missed the playoffs twice in 34 seasons under Jerry Buss. By spring 2024, they had missed the playoffs 7 times in 11 seasons since. They had won 10 titles under Buss, and they had won 1 since. They had posted an NBA's best winning percentage under Buss, and they had posted the 26th best since. Now, to somewhat recap that, Jeannie Buss, if this is all true, she's not wrong in a sense that LeBron James and Clutch, they have taken over the Lakers' leadership decision-making process for a while now. It's been like that since LeBron James has been on the Lakers. And yes, Rob Pelinka and the Lakers, they did acquiesce to LeBron James's, if you want to call it a demand, they did acquiesce to his demand drafting Bronny James. Bronny James would not be in the NBA without LeBron James having control of the franchise in that way. He has absolutely been the puppeteer of the Los Angeles Lakers for as long as he's been here. And the fact that LeBron has his kid on the team, yeah, you know what? He should be grateful. He should be grateful. That was a huge thing the Lakers have done for him. They could have used his roster spot into something else. Yeah, granted, you know what? The 55th pick in the NBA draft usually doesn't pan out into something good. But you know what? They could have used that roster spot for something. They could use the money for something. And they still have kept, to this day, Bronny James on the roster. And they signed him to a multiple-year contract. Don't forget about that. And so, yeah, LeBron James, he should be grateful that the Lakers took a chance on your kid because he would not be on the Lakers without it. And yeah, you know what? She's absolutely right. LeBron James does sit there, mope and cry when he doesn't get his way. I look at what has been going on recently. You just recently, Clutch said that we needed to trade Austin Reeves. All right, that's LeBron James trying to go about things in a kind of roundabout way without saying it directly. Of course, LeBron James knows the narrative that's going to come out when Rich Paul speaks. Rich Paul said that. He thinks that the Lakers should trade Austin Reeves. That's not just Rich Paul. That's LeBron James coming out in a roundabout way, trying to vocalize what he wants for the Lakers to do. That's absolutely the case. And you know what? Going into Jeannie Buss's thing, look, she has been the top face of the Lakers for a long time. It hasn't been LeBron James. It's not Luka Doncic. It has always been Jeannie Buss. Look who is at front, center, and stage whenever there's a PR thing going on. It's Jeannie Buss. Jeannie Buss has made it known that she is the Lakers governor. You know, she's very prideful of that fact. And yeah, she has definitely taken the media and spin it into her own narrative to make her look like the golden goose of the Buss family. She has made it known that Dr. Jerry Buss, her father, wanted her to be in control of the Lakers and not the other 5. She has definitely made that known. And yeah, you know what? Has she tried to spin it, the narrative, and to make herself look good? Yes, she has too. All those things are correct. And I'm not going to continue to read all this because it's just spoiled milk at this point. It really is spoiled milk because here's the facts. The Buss family the majority of them agreed for them to sell the team. Why? Because they wanted the payout. The team didn't realize that they were going to be at a $10 billion evaluation. And when they found out they were going to be at a $10 billion evaluation, yeah, of course they were going to sign up for it because they wanted that cash. Okay, so they're being all paid out. Jim, Johnny, Jeannie, Janie, all of them are. Joey, Jesse, all the J's are being paid out. Okay? And I know Jesse and Joey wanted to remain with the Lakers, and they're crying about it like they spilled milk. Okay, and I get it, you know. And obviously, it was awful that Jeannie Buss told them in a conversation that they should have never been born because that's fucked up. Your sister saying about you, that's fucked up. But look, it's business. Mark Walter is taking over now. And I'm kind of glad this is being aired out because I'm just so fucking sick of hearing about the Buss family. I mean, when is it going to end? Hopefully this is the end. Now we can start moving on into different, better things. Look what Mark Walter has done with the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a conglomerate out there. And there's no drama around them. Let's bring that to the Lakers, you know? Let's make the Lakers great again, okay? I'm not trying to use that term because of that person, but it's let's make the Lakers great. Let's do it. The Lakers were great. Okay, and Mark Walter, he's gonna bring in the people just like he has brought in with the Dodgers, like and Andrew Friedman and those types. He's gonna bring in guys to the Lakers to help run the organization the way they need to be run. Now it's going to be a question: do they keep a JJ Redick? Do they keep Rob Pelinka? Because those are all Genie Bus hires. Okay, so I think the writing, the writing's not on the wall yet with those guys. I think it's going to have to determine on the success of the next couple of years with Luka Doncic. But yeah, I look at Mark Walter's going to bring in these people to make decisions, and if the Pelinkas and the JJ Redicks, we're not successful, then those guys are going to be gone. They're absolutely going to be gone. But I'm absolutely sick of reading about the Bus family and Joey and Jesse and all Jace, because we already know all this story. We already know it. It's kind of daunting at this point. All right, Jeannie Buss is going to remain with the Lakers. She's continuing to be the acting governor until Mark Walter can bring in the people that he needs to bring in. And that's going to be it. Jeannie's still going to be in place.